Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan, coming up in the next 30 minutes. US presidential poll race in last leg. Harris and Trump campaign in final push. New polls say Trump leading in all swing states except Iowa. At least 20 killed as bus falls into gorge in North India's Uttarakhand. Rescue operation underway. India strongly condemns the violent disruptions orchestrated by anti-India elements outside the consular camp in Canada. On Australia visit, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar opens new Indian consulate in Brisbane. All right, first up, let's get you all the latest on the US presidential polls 2024 as the race to the White House nears the finish line. So, Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris and a Republican rival, former President Donald Trump, put all efforts ahead of the Tuesday vote. As Kamala Harris campaigned in the battleground state of Michigan on Sunday, the Democratic presidential nominee urged voters to not fall for Trump's tactic on election fraud.
I would ask, in particular, people who have not yet voted, to not fall for his tactic, which I think includes suggesting to people that if they vote, their vote won't matter. Suggesting to people that somehow the integrity of our voting system is not intact so that they don't vote. And again, I think that it is a tactic. It is meant to distract from the fact that we have and support free and fair elections in our country.
Harris also vowed to end the ongoing conflict in Gaza, bring home hostages and ensure Israel's security.
I want to say this year has been difficult, given the scale of death and destruction in Gaza and given the civilian casualties and displacement in Lebanon. It is devastating. And as president, I will do everything in my power to end the war in Gaza, bring home the hostages, end the suffering in Gaza, ensure Israel is secure, and ensure the Palestinian people can realize their right to dignity, freedom, security, and self-determination.
And former US President and Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump also held rallies in swing states to garner support in his favor. Addressing a rally in Pennsylvania, Trump said that he will bring back the American dream while taking a jibe at his Democratic rival and US Vice President Kamala Harris, stating that she had broken that dream. He asserted that under his leadership, the country would experience a resurgence. At a rally in North Carolina's Kinston, Trump said he is firm on his plans of tariffs, tax cuts and immigration.
She said, I'm going to impose a sales tax on the people. No, I'm going to impose a tariff on the outside world, and they're going to pay it for their privilege of coming in and robbing our jobs and robbing our companies for years and years. They like to say that the sales tax is created by a tariff. No, it's not. This is look, I had a lot of tariffs. I took it. The most beautiful word in the dictionary to me is tariff.
And more than 74 million people had already cast their ballots as of Saturday, which is nearly 47% the total number cast in the 2020 presidential election. That includes 4 million voters in Georgia, or 80% of the total that voted there in 2020. In the battlegrounds of Arizona and North Carolina, roughly half of eligible voters have already shown up. And in 3 states, Connecticut, Delaware and South Carolina, early voting has surpassed 2020 levels. And Democratic candidate Kamala Harris and Republican Donald Trump remain in a tight race in the country's 7 battleground states. The final New York Times Siena College poll showed Vice President Harris with marginal leads in Nevada, North Carolina and Wisconsin, and former President Trump just ahead in Arizona. The two are in close races in Michigan, Georgia and Pennsylvania, according to the poll, which surveyed 7,879 likely voters in the 7 states from October 24th to November 2nd. Another survey of swing states has revealed that the Republican nominee is favored to win in all swing states: Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. A Reuters poll published last week showed Kamala Harris lead over Donald Trump. In swing states, the battle between Republicans and Democrats is often extremely close, with winners prevailing by tiny margins. Meanwhile, Atlas Intel's latest poll shows former President Donald Trump is leading the predictions, especially in all 7 swing states except Iowa. Now, updates on West Asia conflict. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reiterated his commitment to pushing Hezbollah beyond Litani River during his visit to Lebanon border. Netanyahu's visit to the Lebanese border included an assessment with the commanders regarding the operational picture and defensive and offensive plans for the continuity of activity in the sector. The Israeli PM also met with reserve commanders, the Northern Nahal Brigade, and spoke with them about their combat to date.
With or without an agreement, the key to returning peace and security in the north, the key to returning our evacuated residents in the north safely to their homes is to push Hezbollah back beyond the Litani River, to strike any attempt by it to rearm, and thirdly, to respond forcefully against any action against us. With or without.
And Hezbollah said it launched a barrage of missiles at an Israeli military base in the northern coastal city of Haifa. Israel's military confirmed that over 100 projectiles were fired from Lebanon into Israeli territory on Sunday. Several were intercepted and some fell in unpopulated areas. Now, Israeli troops recently detained an individual in Syria, which the IDF said was an Iranian operative who had gathered intelligence on Israeli troops in the border area. The Israeli military named the person as Ali Soleiman al-Asi, a Syrian citizen from the area of Saida in southern Syria. It said the operation took place in recent months, however, gave no exact date. Taking to social media platform X, the IDF said the operation prevented a future attack and led to the exposure of the operational methods of Iranian terror networks located near the Golan Heights. Al-Asi has been brought to Israel for investigation. And a former spokesperson of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been detained by the country's government. The man, identified as Eliezer Feldstein, has been detained for allegedly leaking confidential documents that may have harmed Gaza hostage deal negotiations, as per a court said on Sunday. Eliezer Feldstein was detained along with 3 other people, including security officials, said the court in the coastal city of Rishon LeZion. News of the case has led the opposition to question whether Netanyahu was complicit in the leak, an allegation denied by his office. Now, Israel has officially notified the UN of its decision to cancel its agreement with UNRWA, the country's foreign ministry said on Monday. Last month, the Israeli parliament passed legislation banning UNRWA from operating in Israel and stopping Israeli authorities from cooperating with the organization, which provides aid and education services to millions of Palestinians in the occupied West Bank and Gaza. Israel has long been critical of UNRWA, set up in the wake of the 1948 war that broke out at the time of the creation of the State of Israel, accusing it of anti-Israel bias and saying it perpetuates the conflict by maintaining Palestinians in a permanent refugee status. Since the start of the Israel-Hamas conflict in October last year, it has also said that the organization has been deeply infiltrated by Hamas in Gaza, accusing some of its staff of taking part in the October 7 attack on Israel. Now, India reacted strongly to a violent disruption outside consular camp in Brampton, Ontario. The Indian mission said it is deeply disappointing that such disruptions being allowed for routine consular work. The High Commission said that any further events will be organized contingent on security arrangements made by the local authorities. The statement also highlighted other incidents of disruption during a consular camps held in Vancouver and Surrey on November 2nd and 3rd. The visit of Indian consular officials to Hindu Sabha temple in Brampton was met with violence by anti-India elements near Toronto on Sunday. Anti-India elements had been protesting the presence of Indian consulate officials undertaking an announced visit to provide administrative services such as helping seniors access pensions. Many leaders in Canada have come forward to condemn the violence. Condemning the attacks, Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau emphasized on the importance of religious freedom, while Canadian opposition leader Poilievre called the attack as unacceptable. Brampton Mayor Patrick Brown said he was disappointed to hear about acts of violence outside the temple. Kevin Wong, Toronto MP, also condemned the attack and asserted that Canada has become a safe harbour for radicals and asserted that the country's leaders have failed to protect Hindus just like they failed to safeguard Christians and Jewish Canadians. And Canadian Member of Parliament Chandra Arya also condemned the attack on the temple, saying that a red line has been crossed by Khalistani extremists, highlighting the rise of brazen violent extremism in Canada. And the local police said they had deployed heavily outside the Hindu Sabha Mandir in order to maintain calm during a protest. Though no arrest had been made, police have also declined to assess blame for the reported violence. The recent attack adds to a string of similar incidents documented in recent years, underscoring a distressing trend of religious intolerance. During the last few years, Hindu temples in Greater Toronto Area, British Columbia and other places in Canada are being vandalized with hateful graffiti. And the ADIPEC 2024 exhibition and conference begins in Abu Dhabi. India's Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri also attending the conference to discuss energy's vital role in economic transformation. The conference builds on ADIPEC's 40-year legacy aimed at promoting affordable, secure and sustainable energy solutions. This year's event features over 30 country pavilions, including India's and over 2,200 companies with oil companies and energy companies. Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. The 7th session of the International Solar Alliance begins in New Delhi. Over 120 countries and global partners in attendance. And Alexander Zverev wins Paris Masters, outclasses home favourite Hugo Humbert in the summit clash. And we'll also show you some glimpses of enthusiasm among US voters ahead of November 5 presidential polls.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked, we just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar formally inaugurated the new Consulate General of India in Brisbane on Monday. Dr. Jaishankar in a social media post said that the Consulate will contribute to strengthening India's ties with Queensland State, promoting trade, fostering educational linkages and serving the diaspora. He thanked the Governor of Queensland, Dr. Janet Young, and Ministers Rosalind Mary Bates and Fiona Simpson for joining the inauguration ceremony. Dr. Jaishankar will also co-chair the 15th Foreign Ministers Framework Dialogue with Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong in Canberra. He will deliver the keynote address at the inaugural session of the second Raisina Down Under to be held in the Australian Parliament House. And Dr. Jaishankar offered tributes to Mahatma Gandhi at Roma Street, Parklands in Brisbane. In a social media post, Dr. Jaishankar said Gandhiji's message of peace and harmony resonate through the world. And during his visit, External Affairs Minister also met the Governor of Queensland, Dr. Janet Young. Both the leaders discussed opportunities and ways to strengthen economic trade and investment cooperation with the Queensland state. And in a tragic incident, at least 20 people were killed after a passenger bus fell into a gorge in North India's hilly state of Uttarakhand on Monday morning. The bus was going from Uttarakhand's Garhwal region to Kumaon when it fell into a 200-meter deep gorge at Marchula in Almora district. The bus was reportedly carrying more than 40 passengers. Relief and rescue operations are underway at the scene. Meanwhile, Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami said that the instructions have been given to airlift seriously injured passengers if required. And the first ever session of Jammu and Kashmir Union Territory Assembly began on Monday amid heightened security arrangements in the wake of recent spurt in terror attacks in the Union Territory. Veteran National Conference leader Abdul Rahim Rathar has been elected as the Speaker of the Jammu and Kashmir Legislative Assembly, a prominent figure in J&K politics. Rathar's election underscores his extensive experience and enduring influence in the region's legislative affairs. The Assembly session is taking place at the Assembly complex in Srinagar. Crucial issues including potential tabling of a statehood bill is expected to be discussed during the session in the Union Territory. Now, India and Algeria foster their defences ties by signing off the MOU, paving the way for deeper collaboration on shared security challenges. The MOU elevates the defence partnership between both nations, fostering mutual understanding and enhancing strategic interests. And the 7th session of the International Solar Alliance began today at Bharat Mandapam, New Delhi, with over 120 countries and global partners in attendance. India's Minister of New and Renewable Energy, Prasar Joshi, emphasized ISA's role as a key platform driving global cooperation in solar energy.
The 7th session of the International Solar Alliance kick-started on Monday, uniting over 120 countries and global partners at the Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi. India's Minister of New and Renewable Energy, Prasar Joshi, and President of ISA Assembly opened the session with powerful words, reaffirming the ISA's evolution under Prime Minister Modi's leadership into a vital platform for global solar cooperation.
India is also swiftly advancing its renewable energy capabilities. India's journey is one of the bold vision and the relentless progress. Under India's Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi's leadership, India has set ambitious renewable energy targets and achieved the remarkable milestone along the way. Last month, India reached an impressive 90 gigawatt of installed solar capacity, moving steadily forward towards its broader goal of 500 gigawatt of renewable energy capacity by 2030.
With 120 members and signatory countries on board, the International Solar Alliance is now a driving force in the global transition to clean energy. In this inaugural session, dignitaries and delegates from every corner of the world come together with a shared vision to improve energy access, boost energy security, and fast-track the clean energy transition. The goal to harness the sun's limitless energy for sustainable development across the regions with limited access to reliable power. Solar energy is poised to be a game changer in the battle against climate change. And now, under the leadership of India and co-presidency of France, the ISA Assembly will explore pathways to rapidly expand solar energy adoption. Over the next 3 days, discussion will focus on strategies to accelerate solar deployment, particularly in regions with limited energy access. Together, the world's leaders will chart a course towards a cleaner, brighter and more sustainable future for all. International Solar Alliance illuminating the path to a global solar revolution. With camera person Yogesh, this is Apush Bhattacharya for GD India from Delhi.
Business news now. 8 members of the OPEC Plus group of oil producing nations have taken a decision to extend supply cuts until the end of December. The countries have agreed to extend the November 2023 voluntary production adjustments of 2.2 million barrels per day for 1 month until the end of December 2024. The 8 OPEC Plus nations are Saudi Arabia, Russia, Iraq, United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Kazakhstan, Algeria and Oman. They have been delaying production increases amid concerns over slowing demand in China and the United States, which has weighed on oil prices in recent months. And the US Federal Reserve is widely expected to cut interest rates again this week, while votes are being counted in one of the closest fought presidential races in decades. The Fed's two-day rate meeting begins on Wednesday and is expected to result in a 0.25 percentage point rate cut the following day. The United States has remained a bright spot in the global economy this year, with inflation falling towards the Fed's 2% target, while growth has remained robust and the labour market has remained surprisingly resilient despite recent signs of cooling. And striking workers at Boeing will vote Monday on the aerospace giant's latest contract proposal to end a bruising walkout that has dragged on for more than 7 weeks. The vote by about 33,000 machinists in the Pacific Northwest is expected to pave the way for production to resume at 2 Seattle area factories that build the 737 MAX and 777 aircraft after workers voted down 2 previous offers. Chief Executive Kelly Ortberg has implored strikers to ratify the deal. Boeing's latest proposal for its workers includes a 38% wage increase over the 4 years of the contract, up from a 35% hike in the prior proposal and closer to the 40% initially sought by the union. All right, sports updates now. We'll start with tennis. Germany's Alexander Zverev won the Paris Masters by defeating home favourite Ugo Humbert 6-2, 6-2 in the finals. The 27-year-old has now clinched 7 ATP 1000 level titles over the course of his career. It was a happy return to Paris for Zverev after he lost the French Open final to Carlos Alcaraz in June this year. 4 years ago, he lost the Paris Masters Championship match to Daniil Medvedev. His victory in Saturday's semi-final meant the current world number 3 will overtake Spain's Alcaraz in new updated rankings. The German will next play the ATP finals in Turin from November 10th to 17th. Soccer now. Moises Caicedo put the brakes on Manchester United's mini revival under temporary charge Ruud van Nistelrooy by earning a Premier League point for Chelsea with a stunning second-half volley in a 1-1 draw at Old Trafford on Sunday. The draw means Chelsea edged past Arsenal and into the top 4, while Manchester United, who on Friday confirmed the appointment of Sporting CP coach Ruben Amorim, moved up 1 place to 13th. Van Nistelrooy will remain in charge for next week's games against PAOK Thessaloniki in the Europa League and Leicester again in the Premier League next Sunday. Ruben Amorim will then arrive on November 11 to become United's 6th permanent boss since Alex Ferguson's retirement in 2013. In Spanish soccer, La Liga leader Barcelona beat Espanyol 3-1 in the Catalan derby on Sunday. Dani Olmo struck twice for Barcelona on his first start after an injury absence, while a goal from Rafinha helped Barca to extend their unbeaten run over their local rivals to 27 games. The victory moved Barca 9 points clear of Real Madrid, who did not play at Valencia this weekend after their match was postponed due to the devastating floods in the region. Espanyol are at the 17th spot, a point above the relegation zone. And the level of enthusiasm among the voters is high as the United States is heading to one of the closest and highly competitive presidential polls in the history. Republican candidate and former President Donald Trump and Democratic candidate and Vice President Kamala Harris run neck and neck. That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile application. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. From all of us here in Delhi, Thanks for watching DD India Live.